Your business's content strategy is meant to be a direct reflection of your mission. Contrary to popular belief, having an online presence isn't all about trends. Depending on what kind of goals you have, your content as a business could be the very mechanism that grows your business through an online community and even moves your bottom line with a paid offer. In this video, my goal is to show you exactly how I come up with a hyper authentic content strategy, how I stay consistent with it, how I actually get return on investment from my content, and how you can do the same. If you're new to the channel, hello, my name is Liz. I run two businesses, Essence Presents, which is my content marketing and photography, videography business, and my other business, which is a product-based wellness business called Brilliant Pit. In 2020, I dove head first into Brilliant Pit. I wanted to be a product maker, herbalist, crafter, and I studied super hard to do that. I realized soon after starting the business that all I was doing was creating content because it felt like a low-hanging fruit thing for me. I was really good at it with my marketing background at the time, and I basically was not finding the balance of creating content and running a business. And so this channel has become my dedication to content marketing for solopreneurs, creative small businesses, and crafters alike, who can learn how exactly to implement content into your business without it feeling like it's taking over your life. I give you tactics, strategies, tips, all of the things, plus a lot of the times free resources that you can download to help you streamline content marketing off of your plate. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, keep watching. Now, if you have questions about content marketing that I have never answered in any of my videos, I want to invite you to my live stream that is coming at the end of this month. It'll be on March 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going live here on YouTube to answer all of your content marketing questions. I want you to get specific. I want you to tell me a little bit of background, and I utmost over everything want to just help you out and be there for people who need the support, especially my crafters, creative solopreneurs, and wellness businesses. So instead of me just talking to the screen, I want to actually bring you into my view of how to build out this content strategy. So I want this to be super helpful for you. I don't know if I'm going to make this a template that is available to you yet, as I think that you guys could probably just take what I'm doing and put it in your own kind of layout, but please let me know if you want this template that I'm about to dive into with you, and just comment below. I'd love the template and I will add that to our content marketing master spreadsheet free resource. So let's dive into the authentic content strategy framework that I use for my business. Hey guys, we are into the spreadsheet now. So I'm going to take you through my framework for developing this authentic content strategy for your business. If you're a crafter, a solopreneur, or a creative small business, this is going to be hyper focused on you and how to really go about that. The reason I focus on you as an audience is because I have dealt with a lot of challenges along my journey. So I know what it's like. I know how you want to come off online. I know that authenticity is so important to you. And that's why I've built my strategies around this very thing. So let's zoom in a bit more so that we can not pay attention to any of this below. So if we're starting from the top, we can basically say that we are dealing with three pillars of content, but these are not going to be the pillars that most people would maybe suggest, and in terms of how you format it. This is basically our storyline. This is how we're starting the foundation of building your authentic content strategy. So we start with story and unique life experience because this is defining who you are. It is so important that you realize and understand that your life experience is actually unique. You do not just have a not unique story. Everybody's story is unique because nobody else has it. So that is why we first and foremost start out by laying out all the things about your life path, even if it's not really related to your business. Everything that feels significant to you in your mind, this is what we're laying out here, okay? The next thing that we are going to lay out is your strengths and authority. And the reason that we do this is because we need the subject matter of your content to reflect this exact thing. This is really defining, as I write here, what you're good at and known for. This really is all about what your expertise is. In the past, you can draw connections, but this is really about your service you're offering as a business. What do people ask you for help with? This obviously can have a different answer if you're thinking in more of a personal aspect, but we obviously are focusing on your business presence and your presence online. This could also be interchangeable with kind of you if you are a big part of your business and you want you to be a big part of your online presence. So that's where it can get, I guess, overlapping, but that's something good to note here. What aspect of your story highlights an area where you once shined? So this is also drawing back to the first step. We always start with our story and unique life experience because we are drawing from that for both of these other pillars. So look back at your story, think about, okay, why did I shine in that? Why? And it was because you probably had a strength in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so moving on to impact. This is all about basically the experience that your business has on others and the impact that it actually brings to other people's lives or your own life. So the reason I say or your own life is because sometimes as business owners, we are starting out and we still don't have solid backing for what we've done. We can't really see the impact we've had on others. So that is why I say yourself, because the reason you started a business is at the root of it a motivation because of something you've experienced. So what was that experience? For me, I started in 2020 a product-based herbal wellness business. I focused on astrology. I also focused on herbal products. And I found myself wanting to study and create, even though I was at a point where I could already create because I had studied an apprenticeship beforehand. But I found myself still lagging in the business part of running it. And I really, really emphasized creating content. And now that has built up essence so that I can actually serve other businesses in creating a content marketing machine where you're actually gaining something back from creating content and you also have time to do your business. So as you can see, all of these things are connected. But the biggest point here is that in the beginning, I only had my experience, and that I think a lot of people relate to because basically all businesses start out as something that was once a problem or a problem that is now fixed on your end. So I hope that gives some insight into what these kind of pillars are going to do here, but I will finish up with the impact. This is really all about how your strengths and story has positively affected others or yourself. Questions that you can ask are what achievements have come from your strengths and authority, and what specific wins are you most proud of? As you can see here, I'm drawing again from strengths and authority. What achievements have come from these? And that's going to help you really create a big list of things. As you can see here, my list. This took me, 15 minutes. So it's just interesting that once you start with your basics, start with like your root, what makes you unique? What's your unique life experience? And you might think in your head, I don't know if my experience is unique enough. And just trust me that it is. Listen to your intuition about what is significant to you, because those are the things that you should be listing out here. I hope that this just gives you some inspiration of what to write. So here you can see I started a career in audiovisual production. I basically started at my career and that was intuitive. So I started at college. I wanted to be an audio engineer. Very in particular, an audio engineer. I think that's pretty significant. Me, myself, and I thought that was pretty significant. So that's why I wrote it down. But then it's okay. I did that, but then I got my first video camera at age 10. That's different. That means that even before college, I was into media and things like that. I'm sure you have read this as I've been talking, but just go deep into things that feel significant to you. Whether it's even you growing up in a different country and moving to America, or going to trade school and then you got out and went to community college for business. Like, these things are significant, even if you don't think that they are. It's a brain dump in a way, this section, the story and unique life experience section. This is all okay if it just doesn't make any sense first, because we are, again, drawing from the previous step in these two steps, okay? So now let's move on to strengths and authority. What you're good at and known for. This should come pretty quickly to you. I based this a bit more on my personal skills. I think it was because I was in the framework of personal because I went through all of this. But at the end of the day, I've again developed skills in photography, videography, content creation, graphic design, copywriting. Okay. We basically are drawing from, as you go through this process, you will naturally start thinking of your strengths and authority. I promise you. That's what the magic is about this process and why I use this as my method. So when you think about your rooted story, your authentic story, things will start to come up. Okay, in 2020, I got laid off, so I dove headfirst into digital marketing. Okay, so what does that tell you about the kind of person I am? It means that I'm motivated. And what that says is that I was very much dedicated and ready to dive into something new. And that, even if you don't think it's different, it is, because your story has so much nuance. And the more that you can capitalize on your story in your content, the better. Okay, we're doing this all for a reason. So I'm sure you can tell how this goes. We're just writing things out. We're basically brain dumping in all of these first steps. So with your impact, these are a bit more specific. And because I've had a bit of life experience, I've had some opportunities to really track down the numbers of things. So some impact I've had, these are examples for you that you can use as like templates or inspiration. But I've gained 25 email subscribers from one YouTube video. In my work as a social media manager, I've gained 68 followers from one reel for a client, and then gained 54 followers the next week from another reel using the same strategy. So it's all about strategy, right? We're drawing it back to our strengths. And I do say somewhere in here that I have strategy as a strength. Things that are even a bit more mundane that you don't necessarily notice in your day-to-day, right? This is a pretty significant win or achievement. This is also a significant win, a noticeable achievement, because it stands out in your day-to-day. But you can even look back on your website per se and look at the last 365 days. What has increased? That's what I did for this one. So I've increased Google organic search traffic to my website by 128% in 1 year. Anything that's really over 50% is a win. Even 50% is a win, and even 20% is a win. But these are more significant because it's pretty much saying you have doubled your traffic. Other little nuanced things that are a bit more creative in nature. For instance, I noticed, this is an example of something that could inspire you. I noticed that I get notifications all the time from my clients who download photography from the gallery that I've shared with them. And I noticed that one of my clients, she constantly goes back in and downloads things. And that could just be her way of like how she goes about maybe designing campaigns or whatever. But it's a win for me because I see that as, wow, she's going back into the gallery, even like years after we've done this photo shoot. As a photographer, that means that the photography not only had longevity, but it had something significant in it that makes it evergreen and also is still relevant. I may have been just saying the same things, but it's all an achievement for me. Okay, so let's move on to the next part of this organic, authentic strategy. So when we are talking about our unique story and our unique life experience, what that comes down to and what that translates to when we're getting more into the nitty-gritty of content, business, online marketing, is your unique story is really your origin subject matter. It's support for strengths, right? We drew our strengths from our life experience, or at least some of them. And the mechanism that our unique life story is going to have in our content is really the tone and the storytelling mechanism. Thinking about our life experience, it's all about our story. And storytelling is actually one of the most underrated ways to create content as a small business. And the reason being is because people relate to stories way more than I think people really realize. People relate to your story, and the more you can extrapolate that in your content makes you more relatable and it makes you more trustworthy. So that is just a little tidbit that I'll leave for you. But these green boxes are really just explaining the mechanism that each of these pillars are playing. So now we can see that we're always talking about the same pillars as we scroll down in this document, okay? I hope this makes it easier. Story and unique life experience are really just the origin subject matter and the support for strengths and or expertise. And so when I say storytell and your tone, a good example of how this could come across in your content is this is coming from someone who. So, right, maybe you make a piece of content all about organization and time management, right? Organizing your time blocking. You guys know I'm so into that stuff. So, what would be a really great way to storytell if I'm talking about time management and organization? I would say, let's draw from my life experience and my story. So I say, time management and organization have been so critical to my growth. And this is coming from someone who was an aspiring audio engineer, right? What that does is it explains that how important time management and organization are from someone who isn't even really coming from that standpoint. So it really emphasizes that time management and organization are super important for growth, okay? That was maybe not the best example because I don't know how much I'm going to be really developing content around my aspiring audio engineer days, but you guys get the point, I think. So let's move on to strengths and authority. So the mechanism that your strengths and authority are going to play in your content is your area of expertise. I know I'm going down to this little line, but your strengths, the strengths that you teach, that you serve and offer to people, it is the value that you provide as a business. This is really the easiest pillar because it is the thing that you do. It's the thing that you serve people with. It's your area of expertise. And as you'll see in the next step, we are pretty much always 50% of the time going to be creating content around this pillar only. And we're going to be utilizing the other pillars as we create that content, okay? So we're really just talking about the mechanisms these are playing in this step, but this is how it goes, okay? So I basically took all my words and made it into simpler terms. I did the same thing here with this. And that's a good kind of point to make because you want to get everything more simplified the more that you go into this, because you're going to not realize how confusing it is to really pinpoint out the keywords. And we want to use the keywords here so that you can dive back in and really still understand what you were talking about if you want to work on this over multiple days. Okay, so we're on to impact. Now, the proof of concept is the mechanism that impact plays. And when you think about that, it's really all about what you do and how it works and how valuable it is. So it supports your authority by saying, here's the lived experience, here's the real results of my expertise. That's really what we're talking about when we talk about impact. And I would say this for beginner businesses who might not have been able or just have really missed the mark on tracking this in their business. This might be a little intimidating, but I want you again to really think about the mundane things, right? As I said, look at your growth over the past year on your website, and also think about your entire career. It doesn't really have to relate exactly to your business, especially if you are the consistency within your business and your life experience. If I came to the table as a business owner with all of these statistics about time management, and then I go into business as an herbalist, I still have the proof of concept that I'm really good at time management, and maybe I could teach other herbalists how to manage their time better. Nothing has to be completely explicitly about your business here. We are really coming up with the foundations, and we want to incorporate as much of you as possible, especially if that's your goal. So all of these things that we are writing down are really going to be the baseline of your business's content strategy. And that's why it's important to think about what is really important to you, what is really important to the business's mission to convey online. So the proof of concept, what you do works and is valuable, and it's all about supporting authority. The mechanism impact plays is supporting authority. Here I write how I or my, how we, and how our, because this is the beginning of a sentence that would be an extremely powerful title for a piece of content that has to do with impact. The reason that these are highlighted in yellow is because we are basically only going to base our content subject around these two pillars, either your impact or your expertise, and we're going to support each of them with each other, okay? This sounds a little confusing, but it's all going to make sense. So I basically, again, translated my brain dump into keywords and like key titles, but mainly keywords that could be used into titles, okay? And this is why this is super powerful, because if I wanted to make a piece of content about how I grew my email list by 25 subscribers by one YouTube video, how are we going to support the authority in this piece of content? Because if we're making the subject matter, the topic about the impact, let's look into the mechanism of each and say, okay, now I need the authority piece to come in and really implement how this worked, right? So I could use content strategy and grew my email list by 25 subscribers from one YouTube video because I did use content strategy to do this. You want to relate them exactly like what they were. Content strategy also relates to me gaining 68 followers from one reel and doing the exact same thing the next week. The increase in website traffic, again, content strategy, because we're talking about content and how I've utilized it over the past year. So these are all, I hope, helpful to you as we get into the last piece of this video. Thank you for sticking around if you have thus far. So here's just the last piece here. I didn't, of course, finish, but this area is all the same across the board, but I'll explain a little bit deeper. This is more of like a conclusion statement here, okay? Strength and authority are going to flip back and forth as your content subject, as I've said. I hope that makes sense at this point. And that is why I've utilized or I've highlighted these two things in yellow, because our content strategy is always going to be around area of expertise or impact, okay? Your story and unique life experience is going to draw connections and be the tone in which you speak through. Even with impact, you're gonna draw connections to your unique story and life experience. Even in your expertise, this is gonna be even more accessible to you, but you're also gonna draw connections here and support through impact, okay? Your impact content is gonna be actually somewhat more easy to create because you already have your area of expertise to draw from and your story. So you have two pillars of information basically to draw from and support your value that you want to provide in your content. Now, when it comes to area of expertise, we can easily draw from the storytelling and the tone and your unique story. But when it comes to drawing from impact, we want to be very strategic. So organize, for instance, if I make a post about organizing, how can I draw from the impact that my area of expertise of organizing has helped? We could say that if this is all about organizing, at the end of the piece of content, I could say I've organically grown social media accounts through consistent and sustainable content marketing strategy for 4 years. That is how you can really develop the outline for content, and it becomes way easier and you have a lot to draw from, okay? And again, this didn't take me that long, but also I am quick. So it might take you an hour at most to really get a baseline going with this. So the last piece of this is important. I know I'm leaving an important thing for the last piece, but we want to understand who you are speaking to in a very generic way before we get more specific. We are either serving people who want to do what we want to do, or we are serving people based on a lived experience or a learned experience from somebody who started the business typically, or it's just based on that, okay? What I've written here, which is a part of kind of strategy, is if you are speaking to people who want to do what you do, you should be focusing on teaching business process and strategy, okay? This is not about, for instance, for me, it's like I'm focusing on a candle maker who is utilizing my gallery, and here's why photography and videography are important for your business and for your brand. This is me speaking to somebody else, not somebody who wants to be a content marketer like me. I'm speaking to somebody separate from the business itself, okay? This is really all about, you want to be teaching the business process and strategy, meaning you want to be teaching your own business process. So if this were me, I would be speaking directly to content marketing professionals and content creators. But I am speaking to people whose shoes I've been in or related to. I was studying herbalist in 2020. I speak to crafters, creative solopreneurs, and wellness businesses. These are all people and industries that I relate to. What I do then is focus on serving them and serving their process and their strategy. This is just an important little area to really understand how you're going to be speaking and who you're serving. You should already know this, but your content should be really focusing on serving people or teaching people. We're either teaching people our expertise or serving them with our expertise. And here is just the last example of kind of the content idea about the candle maker who still utilizes our gallery after 3 years. And basically, we want to outline it with title, thumbnail, and or additional context, testimonial, body and key points, and then a call to action. So the reason we do it in this order is because your title is basically the bare bones, what you want people to search for and have you pop up. It's very much keyword driven. It's all about being the most clear. Your thumbnail, however, is an opportunity to give yourself the emotional additional context to the people that you want to click on this, okay? This is your opportunity to relate to people that are going to look at your content, and this could look like the easiest thing I've ever done, or 3 ways that this happened, or the things that make things feel either simple, easy to digest, emotionally invoking, things that really make somebody say, oh, it's not only about this, but it's also this. And that's why I'm going to click on it. That's how you want this to come across, okay? So the reason that we do a testimonial as your third step is because we want people to relate to the experience immediately. And so this could either, if this looked like a video to you, if this was a video piece of content, this could be you saying this. If this was a carousel on social media, this would be like the second paragraph in your caption, or it would be one of the first slides in your carousel. It's almost like just relaying that this is true and relaying that this story is actually what you're going to be learning about. And again, when I say testimonial, it doesn't mean like a quote testimonial of somebody who's worked with you. This could be as simple as this. I still get notifications on my phone of my client utilizing her online gallery almost 3 years after the fact, and here's why. So it's more of the impact. It's all still about the impact, but we are basically giving either our perspective on it or somebody else's perspective on it. And because this is an impact-driven title, we don't really have to have this like strong testimonial as our area for this, because this is already pretty strong, but we're basically just giving our personal perspective on it. Now, if we used productivity as our title and or content idea, we would want to add a pretty strong testimonial that could be along the lines of your impact. So these are just ideas to think about as you are creating your first content ideas from this strategy. So here I wrote in just a few things that came to mind about the subject matter, right? How my photography has served my candle maker client 3 years after gallery delivery. I intentionally shoot with the goal of making everything as evergreen as possible, even if it's a concept-driven shoot. And then I would explain a little bit more about that. Number 2. Solidified branding equals photography that can last a lifetime. It's just these short little titles and then you expand on it below. An online gallery's accessibility and even user experience is important. And then I go into nobody wants to look at the file names when it comes to looking at their final edits. I learned this the hard way, previous G Drive fanatic over here. So I'm being relatable. I'm expanding on why this worked and why my photography is the driver for people using my photography for years to come. I hope that this video helped you out. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments. If you do, I might just answer them in the content marketing Q&A live stream at the end of this month. Please tune in. I'm going live March 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's a Saturday, and I'm going to answer all of the questions that you have about content marketing. I know that it's a huge thing for businesses, and sometimes you just want questions answered from a professional and not have to hire somebody on Fiverr, for instance. So please stay tuned for that. I invite you all to be there. And I am just so excited to get to know my community a little bit more. So leave a comment and let me know how you like this video and if you want to hear more like this. Thanks so much again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!